The following clip is from a previously recorded episode of the Cherish Each Moment podcast.
Bard is the new pitcher for the Angels. The right-hander ready to face Perez, and the first pitch, and that's in there for a called strike.
With a spin here with all warm-ups. There's one.
And there's a pitch that's chased and missed, and down on strikes goes Perez. That's out number 2.
All right, this is a very exciting segment that I've been looking forward to for a long time. Well, not a long time, a little while now. When you have any kind of social media presence, you never really know who you're going to connect with. And today I have one of my favorite connections and friends on the phone, well, on a Zoom call here. Special guest Luke Bard from the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. That's a mouthful. I
know.
I'm not a fan of that.
They're trying to grab the biggest audience they can. You know?
Yeah. I wonder how the Dodgers feel about that.
They should have just stuck with California Angels, you know?
I agree. Well, Luke, thanks for being here. I'm excited to have you on, excited to talk about lawns. I think initially people might think we're going to be talking about baseball, and I'm sure we will. But for those who don't know, Luke is a pitcher for the Angels organization. He jumps between the AAA affiliate team, the Salt Lake Bees, who play here in Utah, and the big club. And more importantly, he's a fellow lawn enthusiast. And for those of you watching on the YouTube channel, I'll be sure to have some pictures up of Luke's lawn. He likes to showcase that on his Instagram. And,
a yard trophy.
Yeah. So I'll have those up so you can check them out and see what he's working with. You have fescue, right?
I do. I got a fescue bluegrass mist, but it's mostly fescue, yeah.
Sweet. Cool. Well, before we get into some questions and different things to talk about, I think it would be cool to share kind of how we got connected.
Yeah.
So I'd like to hear... I'd like to hear your side of the story first.
I was probably connected with you long before you were connected with me. I started probably, 5 or 6 years ago watching Alan Haynes' channel, The Lawn Care Nut, as I'm sure a lot of the YouTubers did. And just over time, I kind of just, whether they were recommended to me on YouTube or whatever, I kind of watch everyone and got to your channel and loved it and saw you had the Angels hat. And I was actually watching one morning. This is maybe 2 summers ago. I'm living with a teammate who went to BYU, and me and him had both been on the Angels and both been on the Salt Lake Bees. And you're doing something with an Angels hat on, and I'm sitting there watching it, and he's like, "Oh, you know this guy?" Because he knows I love grass and love yards and stuff. And I'm like, "No, he's on YouTube, and he's a yard guy, and he lives in Salt Lake, and he wears an Angels hat." And he was like, "And you don't know him?" I was like, "No, I've never talked to him before." He's like, "You got to reach out to him." And I was like, "Yeah, you're probably right." So I think at that point, we connected through social media, and then since then, I've just been back and forth commenting on each other's social media posts. So it's been good to connect with you. And obviously we share a ton of the same interests. So it's been cool.
Yeah, that's cool. I've been waiting to hear your side of that story for a while now.
Yeah,
so.
That was it. It was one morning we're sitting drinking our coffee, and I'm watching your YouTube show, and he probably wants to put on some sports. He's like, "This guy's a yard guy too. He's got an Angels hat on. You got to know him, right?" I was like, "No, I don't know." I was like, "He lives in Salt Lake," and Taylor Cole's the teammate I'm speaking of,
Yeah.
and he's pretty much, I feel like, the mayor of Salt Lake. Whenever we're there and we go out to eat or something, people are always recognizing him, and he's like I call him the mayor because whenever we're in Salt Lake, people love him so much. But definitely a small world that, me being here from North Carolina and seeing you on the TV, and I'm probably a bigger fan of yours than you are of mine, and it's just cool to see we share the same passions, and the love for grass, love for baseball, and all that stuff.
That's awesome. I don't know if you're a bigger fan, but I'll take the compliment. Yeah, so Taylor reached out to me. It was, I think, March of 2020. It was like right before the pandemic became like a thing, because I remember he was talking to me about like getting tickets to games and stuff, and getting together, and then the pandemic hit, and it all just it all just went down the drain.
Sounds right. We were probably at spring training 2020 because him and I live next door to each other, so I'm always where we lived in spring training, which is just 6 weeks out in Arizona, and so he was right next door to me, so we were together every day, and he probably saw me watching the YouTube. That would be makes sense.
Yeah, so he reached out to me on Instagram, and the first thing I noticed was a blue check mark next to this name, and I was like, wait, who is this guy? Because I didn't recognize the name. We've been to Bees games, and I watch Zach Hampel. Have you watched Zach Hampel on YouTube before? The foul ball guy. So I go to Bees games, and I do all the Zach Hampel tricks, and I end up with like 4 or 5 baseballs when I go to the games, because it works and it's fun. And so I will pull up a roster of the players' names when I'm there, and the games that I've gone to, he probably wasn't pitching, and so it wasn't a familiar name. And I think the only time I ever got a ball from a pitcher was the warm-up ball right before the game. I'd go over by the bullpen and get a toss-up. But yeah, I see this blue check mark next to his name, and I'm just wondering, what the heck is this? And he introduces himself, and tells me who he is, and he tells me about you and how you were watching my videos and saw the Angels hat, and suggested that we connect. And I think not too long after that, you replied to one of my Instagram stories, and we've kind of been staying in touch ever since. So it's
he's and I'm not a social media guy. I watch a lot of YouTube, but I'm not huge on Twitter or Instagram or anything like that. I think he's a little bigger on it. He's like, you gotta connect with this guy, and Taylor's like the nicest guy in the world. He's
he's
one of my absolute best friends. I mean, he's the nicest of the nice, and he just kind of said, he's like, you got to reach out to this guy. What are you doing? And I was like, yeah, you're right. So good. Kudos to him.
Yeah, definitely kudos to him. Is he still in Salt Lake?
He's from Las Vegas. I think his brother lives in Salt Lake. He's there quite a bit, and like I said, went to BYU. But he's not there now. He had shoulder surgery in July of last year, which is about a year-long recovery. But he's doing great and coming back from that. And I think once he's done, he'll be a free agent and, sign with somebody. Can't say enough good things about Taylor. He's an awesome dude. I give him a hard time grass-wise. He lives in Vegas, and I think he's got a rock backyard with maybe some AstroTurf.
That sounds about right. I forgot about that because I grew up in Vegas, in the Vegas Valley, and so I think we've talked about that a little bit.
He's somewhere just outside of Vegas, and I give him a hard time that he's got a rock desert backyard.
They pay you to get rid of your grass down there.
Yeah,
it's like $3 a square foot right now. They'll pay you to go to dryscape. It's kind of sad, but
that is sad.
When you have no water, you gotta do some drastic things, I guess.
Yep.
That's why I'm never moving back there.
Yeah, I don't know if I could ever do it either. I need some green in my life.
Yep. Me too. So, yeah, with how 2020 kind of played out, I wasn't able to get to a ball game, meet you in person yet, or see you pitch, or even see Taylor pitch. But hopefully soon that will happen. Obviously, he's recovering, and you're recovering as well. You just had some surgery.
Yep.
But both of you will be back and playing, and I'm sure we'll be able to make that happen.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, maybe we can even get you out to my place so you can mow the lawn.
Oh, I'd love it.
I need to
try the real mower out.
Yeah, dude, I need some free labor.
Yeah, I wouldn't even call mowing labor. That's just enjoyment.
Exactly. The real mower actually surprised me the other day. It broke down.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, I just recorded the last episode of the podcast and talked about that and started filming a video on it. But I had just finished mowing, so it was perfect timing for a mower to break. Yeah. Right when you're done, not in the middle of the mow or anything.
Yeah. And
I even double cut too, so I got really lucky. But the drive belt for the left side of the mower, because the drum is has a differential on it, and both sides spin separately. It's not one piece. And so each side of the drum has its own belt to propel it forward, and the left side shattered. It was donezo. So I had to order a new belt the other day, and it should be delivered tonight. So
that's not too big of a deal then. Just throw the new belt on.
Got lucky.
Yeah. I've had worse.
Those Greensmasters are tanks, man. They're built to last.
Yeah, that's what our guys use on the infield.
They use Greensmaster.
I wish they'd let me mow it. I wish I probably should have taken a video. Our grounds crew in Anaheim, they've got the Rock. If you're watching an Angels game, the Rock in center field is like their little grounds crew oasis. And Barney's the main guy we text. I'll send him pictures of my yard. He'll give me tips and stuff. But like obviously they're, professional sports team, they've got a pretty crazy budget, but you go back in, it's like this tiny little opening in the Rock, and they've got like a little bar area, almost like lounge man cave, and it's got like leather chairs and big TVs. Sweet. Where they watch the game during the game, and they've all got their lockers, and it's all this like natural wood thing, and then go through another small door and it opens into this just huge warehouse type thing of every piece of equipment you can imagine. It's huge. All their products, all the dirt and humic acid and soil and fertilizer and everything. And it's pretty cool. And being able to talk to those guys and see them work and, use all their equipment on a day-to-day basis, see whatever they're doing on the field is pretty cool to even just watch that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I was going to ask if you had much interaction with the grounds crew out there. It sounds like
I'm always talking to them. They're probably sick of me. I'm a grass fiend, and they're the best at what they do and have been doing it so long. And Anaheim is Bermuda, so it's different grass than I got, but they cut it low and they're aerating and they're doing different stuff and putting down different products. And the level of detail that those guys have is pretty crazy. You'll be out, shagging BP and spitting sunflower seeds, and as soon as BP's over, there's a guy out there vacuuming up your sunflower seed shells. And
that's not the organic material they're looking for, is it?
No, it's crazy how detailed, every inch of those fields are, and everywhere we go, and being able to go to different, whether it's Fenway and it's bluegrass and, Seattle's bluegrass, or, if you're in the, South, somewhere and you're on, Bermuda, or it's just cool to see the different grass types and, how they work, how they play. And as a pitcher, they affect the ball differently. Like, Bermuda, when it's hot and the ground's, concrete like, and that Bermuda's, real tight and low, like this ground ball shoot through, and you're like, oh, that should be an out. That's a base hit, and then when you might be in Yankee Stadium or something and, a ground ball gets hit and you're like, oh, that's an out. That little bit half-inch longer grass
slows it down a little bit.
Ball down just enough. Stuff that fans wouldn't notice that I, as a pitcher and a grass guy, absolutely notice. You'll see balls get hit, say a hard ground balls hit to like Mike Trout in the outfield. Depending how they cut their stripes that day, you can see the ball. If they're cut zigzag, the ball zigzags through the stripes. Like, that's because the grass is folded down a different way. It's just stuff that I pick up on.
Yeah, that actually made an appearance on social media a couple months ago. a ball was hit into the out. I can't remember. I think it was in Minnesota or something. Target Field, if it's still even called Target Field.
It is.
It went into the outfield and, it hit the stripes. And you could see the movement really clearly. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, so fans are probably like, that ball's doing crazy things with spin, and really it's just the way the grass is cut.
Yeah.
But just same thing, there's rye on the spring training fields in, February and March, and just seeing those guys out there every day real mowing and, doing everything to make them look immaculate. Is me having my own yard, knowing how difficult it is. It's impressive to watch those guys.
Yeah, and they're living the dream. They get to do it full time and get paid for it.
Yep, exactly.
And they have pretty much unlimited resources too.
And they do, and they're guys. They're probably a lot of them are about my age, and they're covered in mud. And if you just saw them, you'd think like, oh, that guy's whatever. But all these guys got at least 4-year degrees, and they're so smart and
right.
So good at what they do, and it's it's fun to talk to and see those guys work.
Yeah, I really enjoy following several head groundskeepers on social media. I follow one that I really enjoy is the head groundskeeper at Fenway. He's pretty active on Instagram and showing behind the scenes things that they'll do, and it's really cool. Really interesting.
Yeah, I need to follow him. It's cool though. Like I'll sit and watch even after a game, just seeing some of the stuff they do to get a field ready after play. Like we were in San Diego last year, and I guess maybe it'd have been cooler there. It never really gets hot or cold in San Diego, but they would bring in these like massive heat lamps essentially. I mean, I'm talking like huge, and they'd put them on the infield after the game was over so that the grass would grow more. I've probably got a picture of it somewhere, and I'd send them. I got some buddies of mine back home that are as crazy about yards as me that, I'll send that kind of stuff to. But it's just stuff you've never even thought of that these, grounds crews have. And you're like, wow, no wonder they, can make their field look so good. It's crazy. I was talking to our guy in Anaheim, Barney, and he was like, yeah, I'm like, you've got an unlimited budget and projects, whatever. But he was saying that when the field was built, they put cement under, and it was, I don't know, like 6 to 8 inches. So he couldn't get the depth of root that he wanted. And he said, they weren't going to dig up all that concrete and redo the whole stadium. So he just has to deal with it.
Oh man.
I guess they got their own.
That's a fun piece of trivia that there's concrete underneath Angel
Stadium. Yeah, it was built. Angel Stadium is like the third or fourth oldest behind, I think it's the third behind Fenway and Wrigley. It's a lot older than people realize. I mean, obviously they've redone it, but some of the, stuff engineering back then, would be done differently today. And I'm sure that's one of the things.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. So what about your lawn? What have you been up to recently with your little, your patch?
You know how yards work. Just when you think you've got it figured out, you get humbled pretty quick. Last year, I had my yard looking about as good as I think a yard can look. And then this year it looked good through this fall. And leave about February for spring training out in Arizona. And then I was having season-ending hip surgery, so I came home, was gone for about 2 months, and get back, and POA had just taken over my yard. I mean, there was white seed heads everywhere. So I sprayed POA Constrictor. I took a blowtorch in some spots where it was bad to burn it up, and now we've had some days in the mid-high 80s, which have helped. Even a couple days, maybe in the low 90s. I've still got it thriving in some points, which maybe is a testament to the soil amendments and stuff I've done that I've got POA thriving in the heat. But the places that has died have kind of left patches. As you know, fescue doesn't fill in too great. I put some seed in, but I had put out a pre-emergent, before I left in February, a pretty high dose of pre-emergent. I think it kept some of that seed from coming up. So the parts of fescue I do have are good looking and thick and what I want, but there's just some patches that kind of dead that I'm probably going to have to deal with for the next 3 months till I can reseed with some cooler fall temps.
Yeah. You said that you have a mix of fescue and bluegrass. Do do you overseed with a mix, or do you just throw down fescue, or do you throw down bluegrass?
I oversee with a mix.
Okay.
It's GCI, Pete's blend.
Yeah. Good choice.
The Blue Heat, I think he calls it. And I can't even tell what's the fescue and what's the bluegrass, because all that, turf type is pretty thin.
Yeah.
Turf type. So it's hard to even tell which is which, but it seems cool to have both and not just one,
Yeah. I've got a buddy down near St. George who just put in that mix.
Yep.
He's been working on it for a few months now, and it's looking really good.
It's pretty. I mean, it's so dark green.
Mm-hmm. It's got a really nice color to it.
Decent amount of iron, but the color is just real dark, and you can kind of cut it any height. You can cut it from about 2 to 4 inches, and it looks good, and a lot of good qualities to it.
Yeah, that's cool. So, what about lawn tools? I'm not talking about the YouTubers. I'm talking about what do you got in the garage? What do you use for lawn equipment?
Yeah, I've acquired a decent amount of stuff over the years. Maybe watching too much of Lawn Care Nut, but I'm a Toro and an Echo guy. Got a couple Echo blowers, backpack and handheld, string trimmer, and then got a Toro Time Master with the stripe kit. And then my neighbor, who's one of my good buddies, has a John Deere Zero Turn that I mow with about half the time. Doesn't stripe quite as well as my Time Master with the stripe kit. So if I'm in any kind of hurry or anything, probably about half the time I use the Zero Turn. But if I've got company coming over, or it's a holiday, or I just got plenty of time, I use the Time Master, and that's probably what most of my pics are from on social media.
Yeah, laying down the stripes.
Yep.
Getting the lawn ready for guests.
Yep. But got I spray. I got a My Four Sun sprayer. I've had it for years. I think even before some of the social media people had it. I don't know, a buddy told me about it. I've been happy with it, and got an Echo push spreader, and and I buy probably way too much product, but I'm always putting down yard mastery stuff, next products. If somebody's selling it, I've probably bought it just because it's a hobby and I love it.
It's fun to try new things too.
It is, and see what works and what doesn't work. And I'll do stuff on my yard, and my dad's got about 25,000 square feet of Palisades zoysia. Mm-hmm. And my father-in-law has Tiff Tuff Bermuda, about 25. They both got just massive yards of pretty cool varieties of grass that are obviously, warm season and different than what I'm dealing with, that I can also try stuff on. And so that's fun too.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's cool that you have access to different grass types too that you can play around with.
Yep.
Get some experience.
Yeah, for sure.
That's neat.
Yep.
Out here it's bluegrass. And if people have fescue in their lawn, it's a problem.
I got the older varieties, the clumping.
It's the clumping patches that you see spread throughout the bluegrass. It just looks nasty.
Yep.
So when did you start getting crazy about your lawn? How did that happen?
So I've obviously always played baseball, which is on grass, and my probably other favorite sport is golf, which is heavily in the grass family. Yeah. So I think both those things, and then it probably wasn't until I bought my own house and had my own yard that I needed to take pride in and kind of, how do things work? How do you grow grass? Oh, mine looks terrible. Why does my neighbor's look good and mine look terrible? And just kind of learning that process, making mistakes. And I've always loved to be outside, be on grass, play sports, and then to finally do it in your own hands and, see your the reward of your hard work pay off is, and like you said, it's just enjoyable and relaxing and almost meditative to be out there in the yard. And, so I'd say since I bought a house, which I think was in 2015, since then I've just kind of kept getting more and more into it. And I foresee the rest of my life, being heavily involved in whatever I'm doing.
That's how it was for me too. I remember the first time I started mowing my parents' lawn.
Yep.
And I thought that was cool because the neighbor kid across the street was a couple of years older than me, and I looked up to him, and he was always mowing the lawn. I thought that was cool, but I just wasn't big enough to do it yet.
Yep.
And the first time I was out doing it, he was outside, and he saw me doing it, and he'd be like, "Yeah, nice job, dude." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm cool now." But back then it was a chore because it wasn't my lawn, and I didn't care, I just
exactly. I think until it's your own, you don't have that sense of pride that is really what makes you, want to make it look good. And
right.
That's kind of where it started for me, at least.
Yeah. Even when we bought this house, it was new construction, and I had no desire to put the lawn in because I didn't want to do the work.
Yep.
But my wife was pretty persistent, and we ended up doing it. And once the lawn started growing, I thought, okay, well, now what?
I know.
I felt that, that sense of responsibility. Okay, I have to take care of this and make it work, and I know nothing. So thank goodness for YouTube and for Alan. And
for sure.
I feel like at this point, everybody starts their lawn care journey with Alan.
I know. And I don't even know Alan, but I feel like I know him,
Yeah.
He's like a long lost uncle that,
I'll have to tell him you said that.
Yeah, tell him.
I have access to Alan now, so I can pass on those messages.
That's fun. Yeah, absolutely. Pass that along.
I think he'll get a kick out of being the long lost uncle to a lot of people.
I mean that as a compliment.
Yeah, of course. So when you're on the road, when you're working and you're away from home, who's got the lawn? Who do you put your trust in?
That's a good question. I have recently hired professionals. The same guy that is here in Charlotte that does my father-in-law and my dad's yard. His name is Caesar, and just talking with him, like, he gets it. He knows everything, and both their yards look good, and so he does it while I'm gone and does a good job, and lets me know. Like, he let me know. It had only been a few weeks out in Arizona, and he's like, "Oh man, your yard's like all POA," and I'm like, "That's not possible. Like, it looked good when I was left, and put down a pre-emergent. Sure enough, when I got home, it was all POA."
Dang it, Caesar wasn't lying.
No, he wasn't. But he does a good job. They mow right. They'll double cut and get the clean edges and blow, and they're not leaving tire marks, not mowing when it's wet, and putting the right amount of product, and they know what they're doing.
That's good. Yeah, I've been wondering that for a while. Who takes care of your lawn?
No, it hurts. I hate leaving it. And obviously nobody takes care of your yard like you do.
Right.
Yeah,
it's different when it's your own.
Yeah. So I had a neighbor cut it for a couple of years, and it looked okay. But once I got it back in September every year, it wasn't quite to the standards, and I always had a pretty heavy reseeding. And I like the challenge of the reseeding in the fall, which we got to do anyway because it gets so dang hot here. Mm-hmm. It's kind of either you get warm season grass and you have dormant grass for half the year, or you do cool season and half of it dies and you reseed it. It's kind of whichever battle you want to fight, you can do. Or you can do the warm season and overseed with rye.
Yeah. Have you thought about doing that?
Yeah, I think, like I said, if I get some, a forever home and some bigger property, I think that's probably the route that I'll go one day.
Yeah.
I think that's probably where my passion would be, low cut and some. I haven't decided on Zoysia or Bermuda. I like them both. And I love rye. I just wish it, handled the heat better. There's nothing prettier or shinier than rye.
It's true.
It grows so quick. It comes in so quick. You can cut it at any height you want. It's I think it's one of the many grasses that I love.
I'm half tempted to, and probably the next place we live, when it's easier to start over, I think I would do at least one section that's just rye.
Yeah.
And
it
just looks so good. I don't know if you watch the Brett's Grasscapades channel.
Yep, I do.
Before he moved out to Florida, he did a mono stand of ryegrass, and it looked good on YouTube, but in person it was wow. It's just so good, and It's so
it feels
soft.
good, kind of like soft, but yet it kind of sticks to your it's grippy. I don't know. It's a good feeling grass for sure. So my father-in-law, he lives on Quail Hollow Golf Course, where they have the PGA events every year.
Yeah.
And we'll walk the dogs on there, and I'll be out there walking barefoot, and there this time of year, and earlier is rye for the tournament, and it is. I mean, you talk about perfection. It's literally. I mean, I've been to Augusta National and Quail Hollow, and Quail Hollow is every bit as good as Augusta. It's just. I mean, it's the definition of perfect.
That's cool. Yeah. Augusta's on the bucket list for me, and Quail Hollow too, for sure.
Yeah, you got to go to Augusta. Honestly, they're pretty similar, but just the level of detail that and that rye that time of year, it's beautiful.
Yeah, ryegrass is awesome. I think ryegrass gets overlooked a little bit by people. Everybody says bluegrass is king. Sometimes people say ryegrass is the sissy grass, but
old Connor Ward.
Yeah, it's so nice though. It's so nice, and that it just has that shine to it too. It stripes so good.
It's shiny. That's the best way to describe it. I would say. I can definitely spot it, pick it out of fescue and bluegrass. It's not quite as that dark, almost blue color, but it's shinier for sure.
Yeah, it really is. So, do other players on the team, I mean, we've talked about Taylor, but do other players on the team know about your hobby?
I mean, they'll, when I put up a picture, they comment on it and stuff. And yes, they do, because they see me talking to the grounds crew and, all that stuff, and they laugh and like it. But no, they're not as obsessed as I am.
You're the only guy on the team that's trying to get tips out of the grounds crew, huh?
Exactly.
That's funny. Yeah. So they give you a hard time then?
They just laugh, Yes, they probably make fun of me. Definitely make fun of me watching the videos and stuff and being obsessed as I am, and talking to the grounds crew, being out there on my hands and knees, being out there barefoot. But I love it. And not ashamed one bit.
I could see you in the outfield, just like running your fingers through the grass.
Because they don't appreciate it. Everywhere they go, they have nice grass, and they just think this is how grass is, and I'm like, this is not how grass is. And this is, years and hours of hard work. Yeah. And they're just like, and then they just do their running, play their catch, and go in. But just, how level it is and how thick it is, and, how well it does in all conditions. It's just, I definitely appreciate it.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing what these guys are pulling off.
Yep.
Even going back to Fenway and the weather patterns that they deal with, and how they're able to maintain it. And, some ballparks are doing events and concerts and stuff out there. Yep. And, depending on the schedule, they'll have a concert one day and then a home stand the next few days after that. And then the grass still looks like immaculate.
Yep. Sorry, buddy's dog's making an appearance. Hey, buddy. I know it is crazy, and they'll have, like you said, events, and a lot of, nothing gets more foot traffic than, a metal cleat digging in, and these guys find a way to make that grass repair itself. It's pretty crazy. Yeah.
Have you ever thought about starting your own YouTube channel?
I have not.
Taking some cues from Trevor Bauer.
Yeah. It would probably, get me some free product for sure. Like I said, when I'm out in the yard, it's kind of meditative, and I'm tuning the world out kind of thing, as opposed to getting my camera out. And I'm not a huge social media person, whether it's, anything. I don't promote my, baseball side of things too much. If I do, it's probably my yard or my dog.
Right.
Maybe my daughter. But I just, I don't get too personal out there on social media. But at the same time, I love social media. I'm always, watching it and checking it out. I'm always on YouTube. And so, yeah, maybe I should. I don't know.
I think it'd be cool. You get a little behind the scenes of baseball life and lawn care.
For sure.
I mean,
That
sounds like the perfect YouTube channel.
Yeah, if I could bring you guys to some of the stadiums and grounds crew events, it's amazing what some of these guys can do, and it'd probably be good of me to share that with the world, but I keep it all to myself.
That's okay. So what's next for your lawn? What are your future plans? You said you're going to be overseeding in the fall, getting rid of some POA.
Yep. Just get it through, I guess, the summer. The heat is tough. I've got irrigation, so like we just went 2 weeks without water. Just trying to make sure it doesn't go into summer dormancy. It's already, I can tell it stopped growing. The spring flush is kind of done. I haven't mowed it in probably 6 days, and you can kind of tell, but it's not like dying for a mow. I think we're getting some rain here tonight, which is probably needed. But I won't probably fertilize again until the fall. I think I fertilized twice this spring, and then in the fall I fertilize a ton. I fertilized probably 5 times in the fall, just trying to get it. That's my main time. I love mowing. So I really try to get it going. Maybe even more than 5 times.
Do you go with the full application rate, or do you go with the spoon feeding method?
I go more towards the spoon feeding, but I'm out there quite a bit with fertilizer, soil amendments. Like I said, if it's for sale, I've probably bought it. I've got micronutrients. I've got amino acids, peptides, sea kelp. Humic,
all the good stuff,
granular liquids. Yeah, I put it on there, and I'm probably putting way too much down. I think I sent you my soil report. I did a soil report years ago, and it was just terrible. My pH sucked. I was literally low, and if there was a nutrient, I was low on it. And I never got one since, and I've been doing all this stuff, and yard looks good, and I just, for whatever reason, was curious, wanted to get another one, and I sent it to you, and everything was just shoot up the top. Perfect. pH was right at 7. I don't know if I got lucky or what, but something I've done has worked.
Yeah, whatever you're doing is working.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
So
that's cool. Well, those are all my questions. So it's been really cool to have you on the show, and I appreciate you taking the time to come on and talk shop with me. And I've learned a lot about behind the scenes of baseball, and I learned that there's concrete under Angel Stadium, which is just insane to me. But yeah, thanks for coming on the show, and I hope to have you on again soon, and maybe catch you at a game.
Absolutely. Yeah. Hopefully, get this hip fixed, get back to normal, and I'll obviously be in the yard here soon. I'm not going to let this stop me, but as far as getting back to Major League Baseball, I'll, hopefully be back for the 2022 season. So
sweet. Well, I'll look forward to that. Awesome.
Yeah.
That is Luke Bard. We'll call it the Anaheim Angels or the California Angels. Thanks again, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Jimmy. I'm a huge fan, and I really appreciate it, man.
Thank you.